The day I was born, my grandfather died, and because my father was too busy adjusting to being a new parent, he was duped out of his inheritance by his siblings and he was left for poverty. Despite that, he worked really hard to provide for my mother and brother and I. But when things finally started to look up, he passed away. I was in the 8th grade. To make it worse, when he passed away, his brothers came and grabbed everything, talking about traditional inheritance. So relatable. Now that I've started making my own money, they will beg at my feet before I can even give them a single penny. Honestly, this is a story I had heard too many variations of when the group chat got a little too real. In those moments, I have never felt more grateful to be unrelatable. The reality I have grown up in cannot even fathom that family could do that to each other. If anything, after my father's passing, I have been able to access resources and opportunities that were non-existent when he was alive. It got me thinking, life had dealt us the same uncontrollable circumstances, but the reactions of our environments to these circumstances was completely different. Mine was wholesome, whilst theirs felt like the plot of a tragic Nigerian movie or K-drama. Same country, same culture, different outcomes. Why? Speaking of K-dramas, my friend introduced me to them a little while ago. She swore they were the next best thing since sliced bread. I beg to differ. I, in fact, think they are sliced bread. I think, personally, K-dramas should be used as the benchmark of what good cinema is, because they are phenomenal. I digress. As I dipped my feet into the rabbit hole, and as I got off the initial high of how great the editing and the lighting and the angle and the actors and directors were, I noticed something profound. This felt familiar. It felt like home. In comparison, if I had to describe my first experience with Western media, it felt foreign and new, a world that I wanted to explore. It was exciting. I had similar emotions when watching K-dramas, but for the most part, I understood the social dynamics. As I continued to observe, I realized that it's because there are many similarities between Eastern or Asian cultures and African cultures. I can outline a few, starting with the very heavy respect. When greeting or saying goodbye, for instance, they bow. And from what I have observed, the intensity varies from situation to situation. We have multiple variations as well. The curtsy when it's casual, the in-law squat and clap, the complete kneel, and in extreme cases, the lie down. When giving or getting, it has to be done with both hands, and they also do the same. Not forgetting the very beautiful tribalism and clanism that pops up every now and then. Number 2 is heavy on the polite speak. This also falls under respect. There are different prefixes and suffixes for when someone is older or way older or younger. Take for instance, if someone younger than me is addressing me, they have to put wa in front of my name as a form of respect. Just like in Korean, when they put suffixes and prefixes like she and name and others that I have only observed in K-dramas. This is an example of Korean suffixes and prefixes, and this is an example of suffixes and prefixes here. There are also respectful ways to answer a question or to respond when being called, depending on the age of the person that is calling you or how casual you are with each other. For example, we say mukwai when being called. The structures of words change depending on who you're talking to as a form of respect. The eating culture is quite similar too, and foods are similar as well. Drinks. For instance, here we've got things like monkoyo and chiwanto, which can be similar to things like makoli from what I have observed. Number 3 is we gained independence and our economy started to grow around the same time. Others would even argue Africa had a few head starts. And lastly, but definitely most noticeable, just like Africa, Asia is also a collectivist society. And just like that, it got me wondering again. 2 societies have the same background and same circumstances, but different outcomes. I wondered what happened in the past 50 to 100 years that led to Africa being stuck in the 3rd world while Asia proudly stands in the 1st. If you came here for an economics lesson, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Plus, there are already many other sites that have covered that topic in depth. Unless you suggest I do so, then I will. Instead, this video will be doing exactly what we are told not to do. We will be judging a book by its cover. Personally, I think we are just labeling a tree by its fruits, which we already do. So let's begin by defining the word that makes these 2 trees almost twins: collectivism. Collectivist cultures emphasize the needs and goals of the group as a whole over the needs and desires of each individual. Collectivism, through observation, I have come to find is neither good nor bad. Like a knife or sword, it depends on the hand that wields it, and it has its advantages and disadvantages as opposed to other cutting tools. Every African politician knows if they are not giving out handouts, bribes, bags of food, and just random money during elections, and let's say things go right and you get the seat, if you want to keep it, you have to keep up with the sugar daddy spirit. There is usually a subliminal hate for the rich of the extended family, because why aren't they doing enough to help the entire group? After all, that's what family is for. That's what community is for. On the other hand, the rich of the family usually distance themselves from the rest of the family when they make it, because they feel taken advantage of. They don't want to be sucked on by quote-unquote entitled leeches. The work culture is quite laid back, and because of the strong need to identify with the group, everyone settles for mediocre results, because the hard worker will be shunned. In some villages, girls will miss out on school because they have to fetch water or do chores. That's about a 50% opt-out of future GDP, and that load cannot be shared with the boys, even though they are biologically stronger, because, well, that's just the way it is. The scene in the introduction is sadly a summary of what not all, but a huge chunk of African collectivism looks like right now. In simple terms, hey guys, we're having a picnic, I'm bringing pie. I love pie. I'll get the biggest slice. Personally, I am intrigued by South Korea simply because they have done a great job at representing themselves in media, and so I have a rough idea of what the value system looks like. Sure, the entire picture is not painted, and we love to idealize ourselves when we tell our own story, but I have managed to put together a few things. The work environment is very intense, and because of a culture that is centered around respect and the need for validation from the seniors, it promotes hard work. The entire society revolves around groups, friend groups, work groups, family groups, and in all these group settings, you always have to represent the best version of yourself in order to be validated by the group. Even entertainment is filled with groups. The society is attracted to synchronization, and it feels like the slogan of each group is, "We will work hard." And also in these groups, everyone has a specific role. Whether you're the leader, the main singer, the sub-singer, the visual of the group, everyone knows their role. No ego involved. And even if it is, you have to suppress it in order for the benefit of the entire group as a whole. And for an example that I have seen in real life, Asians here open a lot of big businesses, usually convenience stores. One thing is, it is a no-brainer that they are working with their group, family, friends, everyone and anyone in their circle who is able to get an opportunity will, because community helps each other. And when it comes to their work culture, no special treatment is asked or encouraged. Asians are affectionately referred to as ants, hardworking, synchronized, and consistent. Everyone knows their place in the line. In simple terms, hey guys, I'm having a picnic. I'm bringing pie. I wonder what I can bring to make the picnic better. Personally, I have benefited heavily from being part of a functioning collectivist group. The group moves together and no one is left behind. Even against your will, you will be dragged forward. Everyone is a hard worker, and when they succeed, they move closer to the group so that they can help others succeed as well. That means there is always something to celebrate. But because we are many, that also means there is a lot more to grieve. And sometimes the good and the bad are happening at the same time. Personally, I'm always grateful for that, because it means there is always a bright side. I was only 11 when I lost my father to cancer on the date I am recording this. It was devastating because we were so much alike. It felt like I lost a part of myself. But our group from all sides stepped in and they said, "You belong to us. You will lack for nothing." And that has been a testament till this day. I have more privilege now than when my father was alive. And when I have success of my own, I want to share it with my people, because that's the only way I want to live. In society, be it collectivist or individualist, being loved deeply is not always a guarantee. But in a functioning collectivist system, being cared for widely is, and I wouldn't trade that for the world. Asian and African cultures are bound by the same cultural laws, heavy on the Lokya Gehenge. I hope I said that right. There is only one difference between the two. In one, individuals look for what they can take from the collective, and in the other, individuals look for what they can contribute or give to the collective to make it better.
Of course, this may be a faulty generalization on my part, and maybe even too much of a romanticization of an entire continent. If that argument is made, let it be known that this is a video about an idealized version of a functioning collectivist system, not the mystification or romanticization of a group of people, because there is a danger in that too.
But one thing that is for sure is a selfish entitlement in a collectivist society paired with a lazy mentality is a recipe for disaster. Because when one succeeds, it just creates an environment where more people can gather to take advantage of the same person, hence always bringing each other down. That being said, it doesn't mean Asian culture is the epitome of success or the pinnacle circle of collectivism. They have experienced their fair share of challenges and reaped the disadvantages of a lack of individuality. And also, I have seen many families and communities and countries in Africa that also band together in order to work for the collective. It would just be better to see it on a larger scale. So this video is not to say that they are perfect, but for the most part, they have shown what collectivism can accomplish when it is optimized to work for the people in the group and not against them. Okay guys, so we have come to the end of this video. As usual, this was a shallow dive into a very deep topic, and obviously there are other things that have not been touched on, but I wanted to talk about something that is observable today. And obviously there are many other factors that contribute to that mentality, be it poverty, but we'll look at that in another video. If you feel like this is a fair analysis, please leave your comments down below, and if you feel like it's not a fair analysis, also leave your comments down below so that we can start a conversation in order to move forward. Thank you so much for coming. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.